the blank check. They say blood is thicker than water, but nobody ever mentions how much it costs when your family treats you like their personal ATM. I learned that lesson the hard way, one expensive transaction at a time, until the day I finally closed the account for good. My name is Olivia Connors, and for 29 years I believed that being a good daughter meant saying yes to everything. I was the financial analyst who could crunch numbers for billion-dollar investment funds by day, but somehow never calculated the true cost of my family's endless requests until it was almost too late. The restaurant was one of those upscale Chicago establishments where the waiters wear black ties and the wine list costs more than most people's rent. I should have known something was up when my parents suggested meeting here instead of their usual diner. "Olivia, sweetheart," Mom began with that syrupy sweetness that always preceded a favor. "You look so thin. Are you eating enough? Working at that investment firm must be so stressful." My sister Chloe was hunched over her phone, live streaming to her 30 Instagram followers. At 26, she still talked like a teenager and had the attention span of a goldfish when it came to actual responsibility. Dad cleared his throat. "Let's cut to the chase. Chloe's going through a rough patch. Lost her job, and her landlord is selling the building. She needs to move out this weekend." I felt the familiar tightness in my chest. "Oh no, that's terrible. What kind of help do you need?" "What your sister is trying to say," Dad interrupted, "is that she'll be moving in with you this Saturday. We already arranged for a U-Haul." Not a request. A statement. Delivered with the casual confidence of people who had never heard the word no from me. I stared at them, feeling the weight of expectation settling on my shoulders like a familiar, suffocating blanket. "I see," I said quietly, reaching for my wine glass. "You know how hard it's been for Chloe," Mom whispered conspiratorially. "She's just trying to find her path." I wanted to point out that Chloe had been finding her path for a decade, leaving a trail of unfinished projects and unpaid debts. I wanted to mention the $1,000 of camera equipment she'd bought with my credit card for a photography business that lasted 3 weeks. I wanted to remind them of the $5,000 loan that had been collecting dust for 2 years. Instead, I smiled the same smile I'd been wearing since childhood. If it helps Chloe get back on her feet, I'm happy to help family. The relief that washed over their faces was almost comical. When the check came, everyone suddenly found fascinating things to look at while I quietly handed over my card. Later that night, I sat in my 15th floor apartment overlooking Lake Michigan, thinking about my best friend Jessica's words from our last conversation. Good daughters don't bankrupt themselves for their families. Good families don't expect them to. I opened my laptop and pulled up my personal finance spreadsheet. The numbers stared back at me, a digital record of my family's fiscal dependency. $60,000 over 5 years. Enough for a house down payment. Enough for a year of world travel. Instead, it had disappeared into the black hole of my family's financial irresponsibility. But maybe this time would be different. Maybe Chloe had really learned from her mistakes. Saturday morning shattered that illusion. The lobby was chaos. Chloe directed her moving crew while dressed in designer athleisure that had never seen a gym, filming everything for her moving day content. "Livy, this is so exciting. It's going to be just like a sleepover that never ends." By noon, my sanctuary looked like a tornado had hit a millennial lifestyle magazine. Chloe had claimed my home office as her bedroom and immediately began making it feel more like home, with fairy lights and motivational posters. "This is perfect," she announced, propping her feet up on my coffee table. "The lighting is amazing for content creation. My followers are going to die when they see this." When I mentioned ground rules, she looked confused. "Ground rules? Liv, we're family. We don't need rules." The pattern established itself quickly. Chloe treated my apartment like a content studio and hotel, complete with housekeeping service provided by me. She used my groceries, utilities, and space as backdrops for endless posts about gratitude and family bonds, while her job search consisted of posting inspirational quotes about trusting the universe's timing. 2 weeks in, I came home from work to find my living room transformed into a yoga studio. My furniture was pushed against walls, my coffee table covered with burning candles, and Chloe was filming a healing energy flow while wearing my workout clothes and using my yoga mat. "Feel the support of the universe flowing through you," she told her camera. "Just like the support of the amazing sister who's making this sacred practice possible." I stood in my own doorway, watching my home being used as a set for my sister's performance of spirituality. "Chloe, we need to talk." She was already reviewing footage. "Totally, but can it wait? I want to get this posted while the lighting is perfect." I waited and waited. Every attempt at conversation was deflected with promises of future discussions or sudden bouts of inspiration that couldn't be delayed. The breaking point came 3 weeks later. I'd been working 16-hour days on a major portfolio analysis, surviving on coffee and adrenaline. I walked into my apartment at 10 p.m., ready to collapse, and found a house party in progress. 20 strangers filled my living room, drinking my wine and using my furniture as seats. The music rattled the windows. Chloe was filming an Instagram live session, wearing a dress I recognized as mine. "This is what authentic living looks like," she told her camera. "When you create a space of love and abundance, beautiful people just naturally gravitate toward you." Something inside me snapped. Not broke. Snapped. I walked through the crowd and unplugged the music. The sudden silence was deafening. "Everyone needs to leave. Now." Chloe's face cycled through surprise, embarrassment, and indignation. "Liv, what are you doing? We're creating content. You're throwing a party in my home without permission, using my things, drinking my alcohol, and probably violating my lease." Everyone leaves immediately. As the apartment emptied, Chloe shifted to calculated vulnerability. "I'm sorry. I should have asked, but these people are important for my network. This could have been huge for my career." "Your career that consists of posting photos in my apartment, wearing my clothes, eating my food, and using my home as a set. That's not fair. I'm working really hard to build something meaningful." I looked around at the empty bottles, overflowing ashtrays, and mysterious stains on my couch. This was the respect my hard work had earned me. "Pack your things. You need to be out by tomorrow night." The silence was complete. "You can't be serious. Liv, I'm your sister. Family doesn't abandon family. Family also doesn't throw parties without permission. Family doesn't take and take without giving back. But where am I supposed to go? The same place you were going before you decided to move in here. Figure it out." I walked to my bedroom and closed the door. Through the walls, I heard frantic phone calls as Chloe tried to find another solution that didn't involve taking responsibility. When I woke up, she was gone. She'd left a note on expensive stationery that probably belonged to me. "I can't believe you would do this to your own sister. Mom and Dad are going to be so disappointed in you." I threw the note away and made coffee in my own kitchen. The silence was profound, but it was good silence. It was the silence of space that belonged to me again. My phone started ringing around 10 a.m. Mom, then Dad, then Mom again. I let them go to voicemail. At work, I presented my portfolio analysis flawlessly. It was the kind of work that reminded me why I was good at what I did, why my success had nothing to do with my family's opinion. My supervisor stopped by afterward. "Great work. You look different today. More focused." He paused. "We're opening a new portfolio management position. Significant salary increase. Interested?" For the first time in years, I felt excitement about my own future instead of anxiety about someone else's crisis. Very interested. When Mom finally reached me, her voice was cold with controlled anger. "What is this I hear about you throwing your sister onto the street?" I asked Chloe to find her own place. "She's an adult. She's family. You've abandoned her when she needs you most." "Mom, in 5 years, I've given this family $60,000. I've covered rent, car payments, business expenses, emergencies. I've been everyone's solution, and I'm done." The silence stretched. $60,000? I have spreadsheets and receipts. Would you like me to email them? Family helps family. That's what we do. No, Mom. That's what I do. Chloe has never helped anyone. Dad has never paid back a loan. You've never acknowledged what I've contributed, let alone expressed gratitude. We're grateful. We just don't think family should keep score. In healthy families, everyone contributes according to ability and receives according to need. But we don't have a healthy family. We have 1 person who gives and 3 who take. The call ended badly, but I didn't call back to apologize. I didn't send money to smooth things over. I didn't offer compromises. Instead, I went home to my quiet apartment and worked on my portfolio proposal. For the first time in years, I had the mental space to focus on my own career. The promotion came through 2 weeks later, along with a substantial raise. My supervisor was right. I was more focused, more confident, more present in my own life. The real test came in December, when Mom called about Dad losing his job and facing foreclosure. In the past, this would have ended with me covering their mortgage. Instead, I listened sympathetically and suggested financial counseling resources. We need help. Real help, not advice. We could lose everything. The guilt was crushing, but I thought about Jessica's words about healthy versus unhealthy family dynamics. I thought about the $60,000 already contributed without acknowledgement. Most importantly, I thought about the fact that I was their daughter, not their parent. I'm sorry you're going through this. Have you considered downsizing? There are resources for people facing foreclosure. I can't believe you're going to let us lose our home. This situation results from financial decisions you made over years. I can't solve it by throwing money at it. You've changed. You're not the daughter we raised. She was right. I wasn't the compliant woman who prioritized everyone else's needs over her well-being. You're right. I've learned to value myself. I've learned that healthy relationships require mutual respect. I've learned that love isn't supposed to feel like financial obligation. Christmas came without contact from my family. I spent it with Jessica's family, who treated me like an honored guest rather than a walking ATM. On New Year's Eve, I stood on my balcony watching fireworks over Lake Michigan. I had a challenging new job, an apartment that felt like sanctuary again, and money and savings for the first time in years. Most importantly, I had a sense of self that wasn't defined by other people's needs. I was discovering who Olivia was when she wasn't constantly managing crises. Spring brought news through mutual friends that my parents had lost their house but found a smaller apartment. Dad had part-time work while job hunting. Chloe had moved back with them and was working at a coffee shop. My family hadn't contacted me directly, and I hadn't reached out. The silence was mutual and peaceful. 6 months later, I started dating Michael, a finance professor who complimented my expertise without expecting me to solve his problems. It was the first relationship where I felt valued rather than needed. What changed for you? He asked one evening as we planned a trip to Vietnam for work and pleasure. I stopped being everyone else's solution. I learned the difference between being needed and being valued. A year later, I received an unexpected package. Inside was a check for $15,000 and a letter from Chloe's attorney. She'd been in therapy, maintained steady employment, and wanted to begin paying back money she owed me. I know this doesn't cover everything, but it's a start. I've calculated I owe you $37,000. I'm setting up payments of $1,000 monthly until it's paid. I felt vindication, surprise, but mostly indifference. My life no longer depended on their acknowledgement or repayment. The payments arrived faithfully every month. After a year, the attorney's notes mentioned Chloe was saving to start her own business with realistic planning and adequate funding. I was glad to hear about her progress, but it felt like updates about a distant acquaintance. The intense emotional investment I'd once had in her success had been replaced by polite detachment. 2 years later, I received an unexpected email from Chloe directly. I know we haven't talked in forever and you're probably still mad, but therapy made me think about things differently. She apologized for the party, for taking my belongings, for not being a better sister. She didn't expect forgiveness or a relationship, but wanted to acknowledge how she'd hurt me. I responded briefly but kindly, "Thank you for the apology. I appreciate you taking responsibility. I'm not ready for a relationship, but I wish you the best." Some relationships can be repaired with effort and goodwill. Others are better ended with grace and mutual respect for lessons learned. This was the latter. When I was offered a director position in London, the old Olivia would have worried about being too far away if family needed her. The new Olivia accepted immediately. In London, I built relationships based on mutual respect rather than obligation. Colleagues valued my expertise without expecting me to solve personal problems. Friends enjoyed my company without making demands on my resources. Michael and I tried long distance, but eventually grew apart as our careers took different paths. When we ended things, it was with mutual respect and genuine care for each other's happiness. I met David 2 years later at a sustainable development conference. When he proposed, it was because he loved spending time with me, respected my intelligence, and found me fascinating and beautiful. Not because I was useful, because I was lovable. Our Singapore wedding was small and elegant. The guest list included colleagues who'd become friends and Jessica, who flew in as my maid of honor. I felt no sadness at my family's absence. This day belonged to me and David, to the future we were creating based on love and partnership. The final payment from Chloe arrived 3 weeks before my wedding. Her attorney mentioned she'd successfully launched her consultancy and conveyed her congratulations on my engagement. I felt brief nostalgia about what it might have been like to have a sister at my wedding, but it passed quickly. I was grateful for the family I'd chosen. David, Jessica, our Singapore community. Blood might be thicker than water, but chosen family is stronger than obligation. Now, writing from my Singapore home office, I think about the most important lesson. You teach people how to treat you by what you're willing to accept. For 29 years, I taught my family they could take endlessly without giving back, treat me as a safety net rather than a person, manipulate me with guilt whenever they needed something. When I stopped accepting that treatment, when I demanded reciprocity and respect, they chose to walk away rather than change. That choice told me everything about the true nature of our relationships. The people who love you will respect your boundaries. The people who don't respect your boundaries don't love you. They love what you do for them. I'm not the woman who spent $60,000 trying to buy her family's love. I'm someone who knows her value, chooses relationships carefully, and gives generously but not indiscriminately. I finally learned the difference between being needed and being valued. The blank check is closed forever. In its place is a woman who writes her own story, makes her own choices, and loves herself enough to demand the same from others. She is, simply and completely, enough.